Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. Woo! Happy Mother's Day. I love all you mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day to my mother. She's one of the best gardeners out there. We're going to talk about gardening. We're going to talk about regenerative farming. And the big thing about regenerative farming is we're working with nature instead of against it. This is the greatest time to be alive ever in the history of humankind, and I'm going to tell you why right now. I am a soil advocate for Kiss the Ground, as you can see. I took their course, and this will be a lot of information from that course, and also my own studies over the past 2 years. A nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. Franklin D. Roosevelt back in the 1930s during the Dust Bowl. Eating USDA organic is not enough. In 1960, 4% of the U.S. population had a chronic disease. Today, 54% of children have a chronic disease. How did we get here? Well, no single event has had a bigger impact on how we eat than World War II. Millions of Jews were murdered in gas chambers with a chemical called Zyklon B. After the war, we took those German chemists back to the U.S. and repurposed it as an insecticide to spray on our farm fields. Since then, we have patented thousands of toxic chemicals until we created the super toxin in 1976, glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup. It is classified as an antibiotic by our government. We are waging a war on the microbiome, which is like waging a war on ourselves. We have more bacteria cells than we do human cells. Glyphosate is a water-soluble toxin. We are made up of 70% water, plants, animals. The earth is 70% water. We are decimating the biology on every inch of this planet. So much so that we wiped off 40% of the biology in the last 50 years. There's estimates that we sprayed 4.5 billion pounds of this toxin worldwide per year. And in the U.S., we can now measure 70% glyphosate in our air and 70% in our water. I have tons of sources at the end of this presentation that'll give you a link to that. Now, here's some data showing as we increased our use of glyphosate, the chronic diseases increased as well. So in 1992 is when we first started spraying it on farm fields. And as you can see, Parkinson's disease really starts to take off the very next year after 92. In 96, we greatly increased our amount sprayed, and we increased it steadily since then. And as we increased the use of this antibiotic, all of the chronic disease increased. I had dementia over here, the same thing. Check out diabetes. In 96, when we really started spraying it a lot, the next year, bam, diabetes is taken off. Even autism. 95, 96, bam, it starts taking off right as we start using more and more of this toxin. Now, this isn't the only toxin that's doing the damage, but glyphosate opens up the tight junctions in our gut and our barrier. And that's really our first line of defense. So all other toxins in our environment are that much more effective because of glyphosate. But there is hope. That was a lot of doom and gloom. There is hope. Organic produce sales increased by 14.2% last year. This is a step in the right direction, but eating USDA organic is not enough. We now have organic industrial farms that do the bare minimum to get the certification. There's 30 things not to do. Don't use this pesticide. Don't use that. Not one word about building healthy soil. Healthy soil is the solution. Jump on Netflix and watch the documentary Kiss the Ground to learn how it's the first legit solution to reverse climate change. But today I'm going to really focus more on how it's the root cause solution to chronic disease. And I'm going to give you 3 of my top 3 reasons why USDA organic is not enough. Number 1, eating organic does not equal no toxicity. So they have these huge organic industrial farms right next to the conventional farms where they spray the glyphosate and it blows right on over. They put up a sign, it doesn't matter. It's called pesticide drift. More importantly, the USDA allows for organic pesticides such as rotenone, which was used all the way up till 2019 in organic farming, until it was banned after it was shown to cause Parkinson's disease. USDA organic is less toxic than conventional, but it does not mean no toxicity. Number 2, USDA organic does not equal nutritious. So I just volunteered for the Bionutrient Food Association last year. I drove around for 11 hours, part of the Real Food campaign, collected food samples from stores all around Chicago. And the results are in. The most striking variance comes with spinach. The spinach you buy at the store, whether conventional or organic industrial, has 364.5 times less antioxidants than spinach from a regenerative farm that has healthy soil. That means you would have to eat a whole year's worth of spinach to get the same amount of nutrients that I do with one spinach leaf. Right here's data from 2019 showing a carrot from a regenerative farm has 200 times more polyphenols than a carrot from a conventional farm or an organic industrial farm. Now, USDA organic industrial farm food, it's typically in the supermarket, you have a label that shows Mexico, California, or Florida. Now, if you live in California and say you're at a co-op and it's sourcing from a local farm, that's the only exception. But the alternative is to go buy from your local farms, whether it's regenerative or certified biodynamic. That will ensure you have the most amount of nutrients. Now we just released, or we're going to release in 1 month, the 2nd generation of Bionutrient Meter. And within 2 years, we'll have enough data to release an iPhone app. So you, me, everybody, we can scan our nutrients before we buy it. So at the supermarket, at the farmer's market, this is going to revolutionize the health of humanity when they put the power back in the consumer's hands. Me and you. The biggest indicator of nutrient density in this study is cover crops and no-till or minimal till practices. Cover crops, so conventional farming, they leave their soil bare in the off-season. But a regenerative practice is to use cover crops. So you feed that soil carbon, and that feeds the biology in the soil. No-till or minimal till is good for the biology as well because you're not digging a foot deep like those conventional farms and breaking up all those fungi and microorganisms. We'll get into that a little bit later. But the poorest nutrient density during the BFA studies was hydroponics. So that's 100% water-based system. And there's no soil, so there's no microbiome and there's no nutrient delivery system. Eating USDA organic does not equal healthy soil. This is the most important. Ray Archuleta, he studied soil his entire life, recently said, we didn't really know how the soil worked. Carbon sequestration was just discovered in the late 1990s by Professor Rattan Law from The Ohio State University. And we're learning new things about the soil every day. And these huge organic industrial farms, they're using no-till, which is a regenerative practice, but then they're still using a monoculture. One crop on thousands of acres. No biodiversity. Means less resilience to pests and weeds. And then they compensate with a bunch of the organic herbicides that kills the microbiome in the soil. No microbiome equals no nutrients. It's a symbiotic relationship. The plant sucks in the CO2. It feeds that liquid carbon sugar to the microorganisms, and they process it, send minerals and water back to the plant. So more carbon equals more microbes, equals healthy soil and nutritious food. The same thing is happening in your gut. You don't just absorb the nutrients, the microbes process the food, and then you absorb the nutrients. So the American Gut Project came out recently and said that the average American has 10% of the potential microbiome in their gut. 10% of the biodiversity that we're supposed to have. That's a lot of that is because of overprescribed antibiotics. Well, guess what? We're also eating antibiotics on every bite of food. Every conventional bite of food, it's a little bit of antibiotics coming in your gut, breaking up that tight junctions in your gut-brain barrier. So as a result of all this, we've released a new certification, the Regenerative Organic Certified label. So look out on your food. It'll be in addition to the USDA organic label. There'll be Regenerative Organic certification. Patagonia Provisions has a good line of products. I've seen Thrive Market has coconut oil that's regenerative now. Slowly but surely it's coming out. So keep on the lookout. The most eye-opening research on this comes out of Hawaii. They took 800 pre-diabetic children and gave them one regenerative lunch per day for 90 days. After 90 days, 100% of these children were no longer pre-diabetic. Our bodies are healing machines if we just give it the right nutrients and stop putting so much toxicity in there. We haven't even scratched the surface of the true potential of humanity. So you don't have to wait 2 years for the iPhone app to come out. Get out there and talk to your farmers. One of the biggest occupations with the highest rate of suicide is farmers. They need a hug. Get out there and make a friend. When you talk to them, ask them to see the soil test and ask them how much soil organic matter, aka carbon, is in your soil. I've been doing this, and a lot of farmers, they love to pull it out. They're happy and proud. And when you're looking at it, you want to see between 3 and 5% is what the pioneer Alex Podolinsky, he was a big biodynamic farmer back in the day, and he created the humus law for proper plant functioning. And that was this range, 3 to 5%. Now, conventional or organic industrial farm, you're looking at 1% or less. Optimal amount is about 10% for a regenerative farm. I haven't found that yet. So I hope you're starting to see here that the microbes rule this world. If we can heal the soil microbiome, it's a chain event. Healthy soil equals healthy plants, healthy animals, healthy humans, and a healthy planet. So every bite you take, you got to ask yourself, am I degenerating my health in the health of the planet, or am I regenerating my health in the health of the planet? It doesn't matter what you eat, but how it was produced. Like I said, I'm a soil advocate for Kiss the Ground. I'm not a soil expert. In my day job, I work at Schneider Logistics, and we're kind of like a middleman between manufacturers and shippers. Well, I'm similar here, where I'm a middleman for consumers and the soil experts. And so I want to refer you to the soil experts. And I have 5 pages of sources here. And I highly encourage you to dive deeper into the wonderful world of soil. It just never stops fascinating me. I also have some regenerative food for sale. Gabe Brown has a farm online, one of the best regenerative farmers in the country, called nourishedbynature.us. He ships to all 50 states. Some of the best honey I've ever had. He also has really good regenerative meat. And that'll be what my next presentation is going to be on, is how you can reverse climate change by eating regenerative meat. So much misinformation out right now about eating meat causes climate change. It's not about what you eat. It's about how it was produced. I have All Grass Farms up in Dundee, Illinois. That's a beautiful farm. I've been there so many times I can't even count. I love those people. And they have raw milk, which is delicious. It has those beneficial enzymes and bacteria that allow you to digest the lactose and all the other nutrients. And they have a bunch of other really good whole foods. Get up there if you can. If not, Patagonia Provisions, like I mentioned, online store. Thrive Market's online store of some healthy foods. Dill Pickle Co-op out in Logan Square. They source from all local farms. I just joined as a member there. They're amazing. Chef Tina Gibson. I've never had food this delicious and healthy. This is a delivery service. She's a private chef. She does takeout and delivery up to dinner parties of 20 in Chicago and the inner suburbs. Delicious, delicious. CuisineByTeen.com. So jump on there, get you some really good food. I got some CSAs on here. Tomato Mountain is awesome. They deliver to your front door. We pay $33 a week for it feeds 2 people and more. There's another one, Angelic Organics Farm. They have biodynamic practices. I emailed both of them. They're right within like 3.5% or so on their soil organic matter / carbon. So right, at that minimum range you want to be at. And ultimately, I want you to join me on my regenerative journey. I love soil, and I think that you'll start to love soil as you learn more and more. Ultimately, I love you all. Happy Mother's Day.